Alright, what's up YouTube? It's One Way Up here back with another video. And in today's video, I have the Jeep Grand Cherokee 2023. So this is the latest generation of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which was redesigned during the 2022 model year. And as you can see, a whole new styling for the vehicle, new grille. It's a much wider grille on the front of it. The lights have been slimmed down to give it a more sleek look. So with the 2023 model year, they did a completely redesign on a vehicle that was already great. The Jeep Grand Cherokee's previous generation has been around for a very long time, and overall those vehicles are, great all-around cars, great for off-roading, great comfortable in city and driving. But I'm walking over to the side of the vehicle. As you can see, this is the Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So for the 2022 model year, when they redesigned the Jeep Grand Cherokee, it came in two different versions. You have the standard Grand Cherokee, and then you also have this version, which is the L, which comes with a third row. As you can see, it is longer than the other version. Moving over to the back, I do like how they also slim down the taillights as well, give it a more sleek approach. And the Jeep badge has been changed for this year as well. Now, as you can see on the back of this Jeep, it is the limited trim. So for the Grand Cherokee, you can get the Laredo, there's a Overland, and then there's the limited trim, this is like the sweet spot where you'll see most people get the Grand Cherokees, which is what I would recommend, the limited trim and up. And then after the limited, you have the Overland and then the Summit. Now on the Overland and Summit trims, you do get the exhaust cutouts in the bottom of the rear bumper, which I do think makes the car look a lot nicer, which this limited trim doesn't have. But you also have the option to get the Grand Cherokee with a V8. But this model that you have in front of you is the V6 model, which you'll see most Grand Cherokees in. These are the rims that comes with the limited trim. You also have an option to get a black edition version of the limited trim, which comes with black rims and blacked out accents around the outside of the car. And moving over to the front of the vehicle, you do have the camera right there in the front bumper. Looks pretty nice. Now, one cool thing that they did for this generation is that they redesigned the key, and this key is a lot nicer than I feel like the previous generation. It's heavier, it's nice and solid, feels more like a luxurious key. As you can see, it has the remote start, automatic trunk opening, and your panic button. So we're going to remote start the car. Now, one thing I love about the Jeep products is that when you just put your hand behind the handle, it automatically unlocks the car. I'm giving you guys an inside look of the vehicle. Black leather seats, black interior with some nice stitching going along the sides of the seats, sides of the center armrest, the steering wheel. It's a very nice interior. I do like what they did with this interior. Now I'm stepping into the car. First thing I'm going to show you is what's underneath the hood. As you can see, I remote started the car, so when I open the hood, it shuts it off automatically. Alright, so opening up the hood of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is a familiar engine that's been around for a while in Jeep products. This is the 3.5 liter Pentastar V6 engine, puts out about 293 horsepower. You do also have an option to get the Hemi V8, which will put out around 357 horsepower. Now, one thing I do wish is that they could have bumped up the power for this generation. I mean, the car is not slow by any means, but I feel like a nice power bump would have been nice, since cars tend to get faster every year. But this car does have ample power to get this car moving, and you do also have the option to get that V8 as well. Okay, so stepping back into the Jeep. Nice solid thud when you close the door. It's a good quality vehicle all around. And then when you open the door, the Jeep logo popped up on the screen. Push button starts right here. As you can see, this is like really nice wood trim. I really don't think this is real wood, but they did a good job of making it look like real wood. I will say that. But yeah, the stitching along this part of the dash, even the top part, you know, it's very nice inside this vehicle. Along the steering wheel, even have some of the wood trim going along parts of the steering wheel as well. And I like this silver piece. It's plastic, but it does add a nice accent to the wheels, so it's not just a plain bland black steering wheel with some buttons. So moving over to the side, you have 4 windows, up and down, automatic for the front. The rear is not automatic. You do have your lock and unlock buttons. Stitching along the armrest as well, which is pretty cool. You do have a good amount of space for your door pocket. This is a regular size water bottle, but you can fit, you know, bigger water bottles down here. Speakers in the door. I know when you get the higher end version of this car, you could get the Alpine sound system, which will have the badge right there in the speakers. But I will say the standard sound system on the Jeep Grand Cherokee is very nice. I mean, I would have thought, you know, the limited version came with an updated sound system if you didn't show me the speakers, so I wouldn't have been able to see if there was a badge on it or not. But yeah, great vehicle overall. Sound system overall. So you have your cruise control. You got your standard cruise control, and you got your adaptive cruise control, which works, you know, very well with the vehicle. You can adjust your distance when you turn it on. You could adjust how far you want to keep the car in front of you. Pretty good. You have your phone controls over here. These options right here where you can move through the screen. So with this screen, you have so many different options. You could adjust what screens you want to have on your dash, and you can also cycle through the different screens. So you have your digital speedometer, which is new for this year. In the previous generation, it wasn't fully digital, but you do have the option to switch between this traditional one and this one, which is more modern. You could cycle through your fuel economies, you know, standard stuff that you'll see in a lot of vehicles nowadays. There's so many different options. You can even keep it as a blank screen now, which is you know, pretty unique. And yeah, it's you know, pretty easy to read and see. Another thing over here, you do have your light controls. You have your automatic light, fog lights. You do also have this knob here to control your interior accents. So the car does have accents running alongside here, and cup holders, so it looks pretty nice at night. In the other versions of this vehicle, you can adjust the color of your interior accent lights, which is pretty cool. Also, you have your windshield wipers on the side. I do like this version where you don't have to move the stalk up and down to different speed adjustments. Your speed adjustments are done by just turning this, which is a lot easier. Sometimes you don't really know which speed setting you have it on, but this one is much easier to tell just by twisting the knob. Rear windshield wipers are over here. Turn signals and high beams just by tilting it forward. Moving over to the shifter. Now, this Jeep Grand Cherokee is not the all-wheel drive version, but in the all-wheel drive version of the Grand Cherokee, let me move this out the way, you do have a knob here where you can adjust your terrain modes. So you do have a snow mode, what else they got, mud, a whole bunch of stuff. Jeep has always been great with having different drivetrain modes for the vehicle in different conditions. And then on the other trim levels, you'll have another knob here to adjust your heights. So you could adjust the suspension in the car to make it higher or lower depending on which mode or driving conditions you're driving on. You do have 2 cup holders right here. Do have 4 USB ports, which is very nice, and they're easily accessible. You also got a 12-volt outlet right next to it. All this is like right here in the same spot. You have extra space down here. You can also get this car with the wireless charging option. So it'll have a flat pad right there where you just put your phone and charge it. Climate controls, pretty simple, straightforward. I do like the way that they made the buttons look. They look more high quality and glossy. I do like this little silver strip they have running along the buttons to adjust the fan speed, the temperature for both the driver and the passenger. Has heated seats over here. This would be for the cool seats. This version doesn't have it. You can turn the screen on and off. And I do love the little rubber texture that they have around this knob. It makes it feel very nice when you turn to adjust your radio station or settings. And also it has a nice little click to it as you turn it. You don't hear the click, but you feel it, and it feels very solid. So another thing that I feel like Jeep products have done well is that they had a really great infotainment system with the previous generation vehicles that they had, and in this version they updated it and it works just as well. Same basic setup. You do have all your different settings on the bottom, screens that you can cycle between. You have your home screen, your media, your comfort, navigation, vehicle settings. It does give it a little bit more of a modern look to it. I do like the it looks like white granite on the background of the display, which is pretty cool. The screen is pretty responsive. You do have a day and night time where you could cycle between the screen modes if you're there at nighttime driving, or if you just want to change the color of it because you like one better than the other, you could do that at any point. Climate controls are also available through the screen as well. Now you could get this vehicle in two different screen sizes. This is the bigger one, but you do also have an option on the Loretto, and I'm guessing the Loretto and the Overland would have the smaller screen size, but this one comes with the navigation, so you do get pretty good navigation. One thing I do like about this car is that as you're driving around the cities, if you're in a city where there is speed cameras or traffic cameras for red lights, the car will beep and tell you when there's a speed or traffic camera coming up, and that's just standard. You don't even have to be using the car's navigation. It'll automatically tell you, which is very cool. I do like that. Moving over to top part of the screen, you do have your automatic start and stop. You can turn it on and off, lane departure, traction control, hazard lights, parking sensors. Sport mode is up here. Don't know what this button would be for, but at least this one, it's only missing one button in this trim, but you could move up, and you do get most of the options in this Jeep though, which is pretty cool. Plastic on the sides. Yeah, but overall, I mean, this is a very nice looking interior. Even the vents look pretty cool how they integrated into the dash. It takes up a good amount of space, but not too much space, so it kind of flows nicely into the dash overall. Open up the center armrest. You do have two rows, so you have top compartment, bottom compartment. One thing I did find interesting is that there's no ports in the center. All your ports are up here. Well, you do have the option to close this part, so let me just do that if you want to hide away your phone or anything if you have it plugged in. But I do wish that they did get the option to have some ports in here so that you can put your phone in there and keep this closed if you want to keep a clean center stack when you're driving. All right, now we're moving over to the second row. So the wood stitching does follow to the second row, which is nice. I do like that they have that carried over to this part of the vehicle. Same thing with some stitching in the rear parts of the seats. Now this is the bucket seat configuration, so you can get this car with 3 seats on the second row, and you still have your 2 in the back row. Let me just fold these seats up real quick so you guys can see it. With the seats up on the third sitting in the back, closing the door. I do have the seat pretty far back, but I am 6'3". It is a little tight back here, but I'm have the seat position like I'm 6'8". So someone about 6'3" and under should have no issues at all sitting back here. We do have some rear climate controls. This is actually pretty cool. This is my first time in the back of the Grand Cherokee L, and you do have, well, 4 USB ports, even one of these power outlets, which is pretty cool. You have cup holders. Doesn't look like they could be moved, but that's pretty nice. Then you can adjust your fan. You do have heated seats in the second row. I'm guessing in the higher trim versions you could have the option to get ventilated seats in the second row, which is pretty cool. And then you can adjust the seat. I do like that there's a nice space over here if you want to put some things down, if you have a passenger with a bag or something. And then you do have your third row, which is going to be minimal space, but you do have USB ports on that side and on the other side as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so now I'm stepping out. Opening the trunk. So the trunk with the third row up, you do have, this is actually a pretty decent amount of space in my opinion. Could fit, a couple bags back here. Maybe stack them on top of each other, you would be able to do that. You do have some little side pockets to put smaller items. You do have also another 12-volt power outlet back here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so the car actually has more space in the back than I thought. I thought it would, not be a true, 7-seater. I'm thinking it's just a Grand Cherokee with them modifying the trunk a little bit, but this is actually like about the same size as a Dodge Durango, because I've had a Durango lined up next to this Jeep before, and yeah, it's they did a good job with the space in this vehicle. But it is easy to fold down the third row. So let's say you don't have any occupants in your third row, fold these seats down and you have a large amount of space. So you should have no issues fitting, huge items back here, boxes, skis, things like that, because there is a lot of space. And to close, just tap this button right here. Most cars would have their buttons on the top, but that's the way Jeep's been doing their buttons. Okay, so behind the wheel of the Grand Cherokee, like I said before, the car is very comfortable. It has a nice suspension, steering wheel, it's pretty sturdy. But I will say, one of my complaints about this car is that I feel like the engine noise is too loud. So when you push it, when you get to higher RPMs, it does sound like the engine is fighting really hard to keep up with itself, I will say, or to get the car moving. But other than that, I feel like the car drives, very nice. My only issue would be the engine could be very annoying when you're driving at higher RPMs. It does feel like the engine is fighting with itself to keep the car moving, but that's just the way their V6 sounds like. Steering wheels, nice and soft. I do like that it's not, firm and a hard material. That's something I prefer for my driving style. Yeah, it's a nice, comfortable car overall to drive. And overall, I think Jeep did a great job with this generation of the Grand Cherokee. The headlights and how they have the orange halos at the bottom looks pretty cool in this vehicle. So overall, Jeep did a great job with this. The Grand Cherokee now starts at $41,000. This version is the limited version, which starts in at around $49,000. But yeah, you can go all the way up to the 68,069 for the Overland and the Summit. But definitely a great American SUV. Thank you guys for watching this video, and hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.